Hello guys, welcome to another Core Wiki speed build. I'm KiwiT and I'm doing this completely booze-free this week, so no alcohol, none. I'm being very good. And I'm a bit more nervous than usual, consequently. But I try out a little bit of constrained floor elevation stuff with this because I want a lower level. And I sort of want a games room down here. You know how there's the sort of man cave sort of thing. I sort of want that because the idea here is we've got a journalist and his family, so a wife, 2 kids, and they're just going to live in this place, which is an old Art Deco sort of place. So I guess 30s, maybe 40s, sort of blocky place. You know those sort of very geometric Art Deco houses that have very sort of plain colors. I want it to be like that. So I'm just sort of blocking everything in, making sure I've got a few layers, and then I like the weird terracing thing that I found on some Art Deco stuff. I end up having to move this oak tree out a little bit because it was in the way. I realized that that's a really sort of backwards way of doing things. I should be building around the trees, not shifting the trees out of the way. But I'd sort of got plenty along with the build when I sort of really started to realize that I had this huge chunk of foliage sticking through the wall. And I like the nice plain stairs. I think it would be nice if I could have a sort of minimal amount of curves. I changed those windows completely, but the game doesn't really like curves. You've got to use a few build by mode items, and I do to get a few curves just around the place. I use some pillars and some pedestals from the Regency arcade venue, which I had decided I'm allowed to use because it's some of the only Art Deco stuff in The Sims 3, unfortunately. I mean, there's all the late night stuff, but it's not as versatile as I would like. There really should be more, I think, now. Now that I'm struggling to do this world. Especially in terms of, I mean, so many of these types of houses, I don't know if you can see what I'm going for yet, have curved walls that it's very frustrating trying to do them without. And this place won't really have any garden area, just sort of bushes and stuff around, maybe a few pot plants. And it doesn't align perfectly with the road. I have checked that the routing is all fine, but it's just because there's a bit of a curve to the road here, so I have to make sure the gravel and stuff doesn't connect up perfectly, because otherwise there'll be a little sort of wedge of grass in between, looking very conspicuous. And so yeah, I try to give a sense of multiple layers. And I want a lot of sort of living space in this house. I want it to be quite spacious because there's 2 kids. So I want an office for the journalist. I'm not sure if the wife has a job. I haven't decided. I mean, the kids are old enough, they're child age, that she could have a job. Maybe I could give her a part-time one. I think about these things, but I can never decide. And these pillars are nice, these ones from World Adventures, because they lend a little bit of curve to the place. Those look terrible up there, though. I mean, a lot of the houses don't have curves either. They're quite blocky. And I fool around and try to make some stairs down here. And I'm thinking about having it come in from the other side, but then eventually I realize it's really quite silly where I'm trying to put them, and I move them over to the other side of the house. The spiral staircases are a real pain to work in because of the way they're designed. You notice that they don't actually have railing up the top, and in fact they make a huge fuss if you put the railing in the logical places. That they prevent routing, so they're really just a mess. I really hate them. I think that they really must have been rushed. I understand that the code base for Generations was a huge mess, so maybe that's why the objects for Generation messy as well, because really, they're really not very well done. I like no, I don't like the layout up here, but I'm really not sure about the internal layout of this house either. I think it works a lot better than the last speed build I did, the little house, but it still has quirks that make me uncomfortable. I'm also not sure about the outside coloration, which you're going to see now as I sort of fiddle around trying to get the right sort of low shade of yellow. I was looking at lots of pictures of these buildings to work out what sort of paint job to give it, and there was one particular one that had this sort of lemony off-white sort of tone with terracotta edging on the windows and stuff. If there's any noise, it's my cat jumping all over things. So I just tried to imitate that a bit. I think I captured it reasonably well. It's a very plain look, to the point where it's not very pronounced, and it even looks a bit monotonous, but I think that's the way a lot of these places look. And it also goes okay with the color of the world. Now, the time does actually change in this video, so I think this might be about 6 p.m. It's getting later in the afternoon, so it's a little sunsetty, a little orange, but it still works even when it's not. And I'm not sure when that sunsettiness takes over. Now, I make all sorts of hideous wallpapers when I'm first working on this. But rest assured, I change them because they don't work, because they're just horrible. We had a house, again, I'm thinking of the houses we had. We had a house that had sky wallpaper with clouds and little seabirds on it, and it was quite nice, and it had this sort of carpeting down the base, but this doesn't look like it. It's hideous, again, just like that paper stuff I tried in the last one. It just doesn't work, and I kill it with fire. That bloom, it really just screams, doesn't it? I don't understand why they introduced that, because you remember it wasn't actually that intense in the base game, and it was Ambitions that they brought in this really overbearing bloom that's just very ugly. And I accidentally shoved some wood onto the tiles, but it looks good, so I leave it like that. And I was trying to think what sort of wallpaper I wanted for this place, and whether I should keep it sort of 70s or more modern. I sort of figured this place was renovated in the 70s when the parents moved in, so they've been here a long time, and they've just got their kids now. Of course, there aren't decades in the Sims, despite the stuff pack, but you know, I'm just making things up. I mean, it's frustrating when there's a Art Deco sort of thing, and you're like, well, what, 30s? Yes, but there's no 30s in this game. I'm rambling. Forgive me. And then I realized that these walls look hideous, so I changed them, and I changed all of them into a sort of slate grey look, which I think works for bathrooms. It is a bit dark, but the lighting sorts that out a bit. And I thought this was much nicer. It's sort of a Hessian sort of wallpaper, similar to what was on the walls of my primary school. So I changed all the halls and the public areas to that, and then I think I changed the bedrooms to more of a grey. And the house is looking a bit the same all over at this point, so I go in and I try to just jazz it up with a few different features, a few different colours. So the lime green and the orange is a very 70s look, I think, so I was just going for that. And again, just those tables are right to give a sort of the curves without, I mean, they're not Art Deco curves, but sort of brings the place together a bit more, makes it look less totally blocky. And so because the two kids are sharing a room, I decide to turn the master bedroom into the smaller one so that they have plenty of room and I can put a whole bunch of toys down. Sort of throw as many things down as I can, plus a dresser, rug. Make it all white so that I can sort of play around. I had no idea where to put this rug when I realised that I didn't really like where it was. And I actually keep those chairs because they have such a nice sort of versatile look to them there. So I stick with that quite a bit actually. And apologies, I forgot to turn Facebook off, and it has that horrible new beeping, so occasionally you're going to think that your Facebook or Skype or something is going off. No, it's mine. And you can see where this is. It's on the same street as the other house that I did. And I'm going to have some indoor plants there, and I'm going to put in the library, or the sort of writing area, put a desk, bring the stereo over here eventually. And twirl around like crazy so that you're dizzy. Yeah, so everything starts going for that grey with the large mats in it. Thought about adding a shower in here, but I thought no, it'll just be a toilet for the bedroom there. I mean, there's a shower there, people can use it. It's a bit dark down there, so you can't really see what's going on, but I'm adding the sinks. Moving the fridge around, I need a bin. And I think there's still a lot of criticism this place could take once it's done. I think you can really rip into it, decide they should have a dog. Sometimes I decide what should be in the family on the fly. Try to fit a dog kennel in, but it doesn't fit in anywhere, so it's just an inside dog. And I make sure there are actually some light switches here, so now anyone who is playing can click on them and change the lighting in the house rather than just using the invisible lights everywhere. It's always very dark even with the lighting. So try to anticipate what complaints people might have, because I think there are plenty to be had with this place, but I can't. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you think is going right, what you think is going wrong. I think these bedrooms are a bit too grey, but I don't know what sort of colour scheme to bring to them. I decided to make the rocking horse a zebra because cute. Yeah, I mean the colour scheme in these rooms, it's really impersonal and it doesn't work that great, I think. It's not terrible, it's acceptable, but it's just dull. I think I was being too conservative, too nervous about going to extremes, and just held back too much. But I don't know what to do now. I might remove that car because it's adding so much to the price in the final build. But for now, this is sort of how it is. It's a simple sort of kitchen, dining room area. Lots of space to move around. Near to the school. There are going to be a bunch of other similarly built houses on this street. The only one that's not in this theme is the one I did in the last speed build. Jerking all over the place. Sorry. Little library here. Nice view of the hill. And then a great big dining room where they can watch TV. And I added these pedestals out here by the fence because I think they sort of finally bring out that Art Deco look, and they look like part of the fence, they look like part of the entrance, so that works. Got some hydrangeas down the side of the driveway to sort of block off the weird, the way that light doesn't flow off lots properly, to block that off. So that's it for now. Just let me know what you think, leave a comment, and I'll catch you soon.